Two West Australians across the circle. And away we go. On the way down, Ryder backhands it. Hayes falling to the ground. Prismal a half chance. There he is again. Watson lost at that time. Schneider, who played so well, particularly in the second half last week, a catalyst in the revival from the Saints. The umpire calls for it. Schneider, number 13. Montagna, last man up. Gardner, very conscious of Ryder. They lock up. Hayes loves that situation. Third man up. The first kick of the game to Howlett. Down towards half forward. Fisher on the angle. Gilbert, an early touch taken by Blake. Swings it to the outer side, and the mark is taken by Hayes.
And Hayes down the line to Montagna. Some little doubt about Montagna.
Stop. No, come back, Brendan. Run through the mark. Back here.
To see the sleeve there for Brent Stanton. That's a call to arms night, obviously, with the promoting men's health. More about that as the night goes on. And a lot of the Bombers players wearing the yellow boots. So Montagna off one step, decides to go high to revolt, and McVeigh, who's got the job on Milner, that goes over the back.
Just saw at the start of the game Fletcher on young Lynch, and I would love to have seen Fletcher actually pick up one of the tall key marking forwards in Kazitsky and Revolt, but those jobs have been left to Hooker and Hurley.
And we just saw Montfresh, who's trying to play the defensive forward on Fisher.
Holding his arm, okay?
So Schneider, who got busy, didn't he, in the... All was okay. Got busy in the third quarter against the Hawks, kicking to this end when he kicked 3 in a hurry. And from what we saw last Friday night, he's not without a chance here. Closing in on 30 goals for the season. He kicked 34 last year, premiership player with the Swans. Runs out, and with the hook.
Well, much debated all week. There wasn't he. At least he kept his feet. So the ground does look a hell of a lot better than it did this time last week.
Howlett has started okay. Second possession goes back. Here's Fletcher. Kazitsky got to him, but not in time. Zaharakis up from the back pocket to Watson. An element of danger. Watson takes the mark. About 25 metres out from his own defensive goal. Ryder starts a move. That's ignored. That's a delicate kick. Doesn't get to the man it was intended for. And it's going to be a free kick in front to Hayes. And he's claiming a couple of 50s there. One for the contact and one for the throw back. He's 65 metres out. Sets it long. That was the pocket. There were plenty of Essendon players in the air, but the man who was lurking at the back, Revolt, apparently was interfered with.
Ball's not within 5. No, good time. Sit there. Darryl.
Now,
just holding him out of the contest with the umpire's adjudication.
Watson is limping too. He came in carrying a calf from last week. He's in trouble. Meantime, Revolt adds to the problem. Slots the goal.
Just got to be very careful. Then we see Joe Watson there. He does look like he's hobbling. If that's a calf problem that's got sore again. Again, two bodies pushing at the free kick. Not sure about that one.
No, it seemed Hooker had his eyes certainly on the ball. Probably the tangle of arms might have given the cue away to the umpire to pay away the free kick.
To see, oh yeah, I guess, yeah. When you see it from that angle, he's really just made sure that Rewald couldn't jump for the footy.
It's probably all in the eyes in that position. You could just see he just swiveled the head, and we just see Joe Watson now. He came into the game with a bit of a calf injury. Looks a little bit proppy. I'm sure if it was anything major, they wouldn't leave him out there.
So one captain in a bit of trouble with the calf, and the other one gets the opening goal. Del Santo to that other captain. Revolt in the contest again, and then Fletcher to Watson. Back to McVeigh, has to backtrack. Did well McVeigh in the end, and then Hurley off a step. Good kick to Prismal. Prismal and Lonergan both played their 5th year tonight, because Prismal played a bit with Tom down at Catland, didn't he? And now Monfre's been a bit of a battle for your ex-teammate to get to 50.
He has. I mean, he's a fantastic player with great work rate, but I guess his season has almost mirrored that of Essendon's this year. It's been quite spasmodic.
So Hooley, just his 4th game, long and high, and Dawson at the back. Well read, though, by Hardingham, who did everything right last week. And a boundary throw in the forward pocket.
We spoke just how Essendon might try and attack the St Kilda defence. They're trying to get Monfries onto Blake. Blake's trying to get on Gumbleton, but they're letting Gilbert play his normal game. He's trying to take Davey at this point.
Just a push forward may have helped Davey into an open goal, but Hardingham not aware of that. Hayes back towards midfield. Fletcher tracks it towards the wing. There's a man on short. That's Reimers. Did well. Reimers feeds it inside. Stanton under pressure. Hooks it down towards the pocket. In front, Blake.
Huge, massive white jumpers in the defensive 50 for St Kilda. Can't afford to blaze away the Bombers. Need to be patient, work the ball around the arc to find the free target.
Del Santo, 360 to find the footy there. Found it okay. Short one. Dawson. Don't think the Bombers mind it in his hand so much, although no pressure on him. Goes out wide to Gwilt. Now Gwilt can run it up, kick beyond the wing. Plenty of numbers there for the Bombers. Hurley just backed himself against the footy. Lynch just stood his ground. Fletcher's away.
Getting a lot of the ball now. Zaharakis. So this man created here. Poor kick. It was to the wrong side of Prismal. And then Del Santo. Stanton just runs across in front. Takes the running of Dempster. Boundary throw in.
And I think Essendon were trying to man up the St Kilda defence. They're not going to allow them to kick it to easy targets, but they had one player being interchanged, so they had 17 versus 18, and that's how St Kilda got out.
So Watson sitting down not too far from our Watson, and that's not a great sign.
Just saw Michael Hurley take a strong defensive mark lead. Do you think he's a defender?
Oh, I think he's early days. He looks like a really promising young player and did play some really good footy in his first year as a forward, but I think he'll be playing forward and back, I suspect, for a while.
Howlett, Collier just missing, and then Hocking has to ride the tackle. Collier down low, well done. Lonigan off a step, doesn't get much purchase. Very good contest by Gumbleton. Monfries can kick a goal. Doesn't quite. Tim, just a quickie, Tim, what about Joe? But not a good start, mate.
No, he was troubled obviously last weekend by his calf. He had two corkies on the same calf, and didn't train much during the week. Was okay, thought he pulled up okay, and I think he just got another knock when he went for that last mark, so we'll just keep an eye on him.
Free kick after the boundary throw in, and it's going Essendon's way. Monfries will put his body in, no question about that.
It's going to be important if he can kick his goal or two on Fisher. He seems to have got the match-up. His will at the moment to play on Fisher has overrode Fisher's will to play on Gumbleton.
Seems the perfect matchup for that particular role. He's a forward who looks very task-orientated from a coaching point of view, but attracts the footy. Yeah, most importantly, I think the Bombers players can kick to him with confidence.
Last evident goal from this man, not too flash. That's what he can do here. Make amends, he can. Puts it through. They trail by a point.
And a little bit of aggro. There's it does become a battle of wills when one team's wanting to have a certain structure tactically and positionally, and the other team doesn't. It really is a question who can maintain their will the longest.
And St Kilda have built such a reputation on being a really structured side. Essendon not so much known for their structures, but a great opportunity to try some and implement some different things in the last stages of the season. Just in front there, hunted the ball, got in the right position. The free kick certainly there.
So back in the centre, Hill just on the tap. Goddard down low, couldn't quite keep his feet, and then off peak fortuitously. That was clever by Davey. He pickpocketed that footy and then sweeps the handball. Monfries had some momentum and then flicked it back against Dawson. Prismal down low. He's been hunted by 3 men in those white shirts. And then Blake. I tell you what, if it was a funny farm, you'd be nervous, wouldn't you?
Don't just clubs you learn off each other. There's no doubt the book is out on the St Kilda defence, crowd their defence. So Essendon have got heaps of player in their forward line. That's the way they're going to defend.
Gee, Davey was good against McAvoy there. Now Goddard, Montagna. And close to the boundary line, back to Peak, good low handball. Graham very close to the line. Montagna, it was a good stretch by the Joey as he goes out wide.
Right there.
McAvoy, emerging young player, in the back pocket. No real attention to the mark. He drives it along the boundary. Up comes Fletcher. So a baptism of fire for young Lynch. Fletcher touching the ball quite often in these opening 7 or 8 minutes.
A great contest. A really searching lead there from Lynch. And I think Essendon, St Kilda will need to honour those leads on Dustin Fletcher's direct opponent.
Watson jabs it out of there. Ray feeds it back to Graham. Just pops it close to the boundary line, wanting something of Mill. He works hard. Realises up against Hill, but he was across the line. He wanted to take Hill on. Nothing doing.
So Ross Lyon and Matthew Knights.
Both up in the box.
Yeah. It's unusual these days.
These days it is.
About half and half. Isn't it?
If you'd said that to me 18 months ago, I would have looked at you very strangely. Here's Pearce. But we know what you mean, Tom. Here's Montagna with a long ball. Stanton, third man up. Interesting Stanton again tonight playing deep defence. He's playing on Snyder at the moment. I might go down to you, Tim, in a moment on that because he's played a fair bit of that lately. He had 22 disposals last week and 16 of them came after half-time. That one not so good. Cut off by the Saints. Well done by Neagle. Hocking's hands were good. Hooley, Watson did get the kick in at the end. Good build up here. Prismal, can he turn his man? Couldn't quite get the right handle. Gets to Collier and that's a neat kick. Well played. Kept his head and found Ryder. I like Collier. I reckon he's a real go. He was the smallest guy taken in the draft last year.
He's quick. And they're playing the big 3 talls at this part of the game. Obviously, Ryder's in deep there. Hill's in the ruck and Nagel and Gumbledon. So that's 3 very tall targets going forward for Essendon.
He's kicked some goals this year, including 3 against the Saints when Hill got the 4 earlier this year. They need all of these and they've got them. So Essendon lead. Early days.
Definitely a different team and a much better team structurally with Hill and Ryder both playing. One of the few ruck combinations where both players have the ability to go forward. And I think what a lot of people probably forget about Paddy Ryder is he's still a young player, and to shoulder the ruck responsibility by himself, which he has done for a lot of the time this year with Hill out of the side. He'll gain confidence, he'll gain a bit of stature, if you like, just by having his mate out there.
So just the start the Bombers need. They're up by 5 points, 12-7, early going on a Friday night. Collier just setting it up. Nice kick, laying the ball into the path of Ryder. No chance for Dawson. Bounce favours Hill, tries to hook it down behind, looking for Watson. Lonigan back in the team tonight. High ball to half forward. How will it bounce? It lands right on the 50. In 2 directions, the players meet in the middle. Down goes Gwilt. Slips a hand pass away. Well done. Hayes comes to Dawson. It's coming back to Hayes, I fancy.
Only. No delay. No delay.
Lenny Hayes so good last week in the draw. Kicks to midfield. Revolt. Made it his own. He passed 2 Bombers to get to that football. Kicks it down towards half forward. Kazetsky. Hurley is with him. Hurley plays it pretty well. Kazetsky paddles it back to a voice. Geary supplied that voice. Kazetsky. Schneider. Well done, Hurley. Put the pressure on Kazetsky. And the ball ricochets out of bounds. Good footy all round.
It has been well this first half of the first quarter. I think Essendon have been good. I mean, they seem to the side that's got the early life. Might change, but early on they got plenty going.
So D'Alessandro, third man up.
No private ball kick.
Hey, Tim, just a quickie. Standing in the back half. I mean, he's been doing it for... He's just checking with the producer down there, but I'll get to him in a moment on Stanton. So tap one by Hayes, actually. And Dempsey. Here is Stanton playing deep defence. Howlett. Well, Zaharakis did pretty well because it was just a bit too tall. And now Howlett gets back, holds up in the tackle. Lonigan. Well played to Dempsey, to Hurley, to Stanton. Heavy traffic, Zaharakis. Watson Important ball, this one. Neagle didn't use Fletcher, went back inside. Might be a good build-up. Stanton to Fletcher. Needed to handball. Why didn't he? Well, only he knows, but he's been around a bit longer than I have.
He had the left hand cocked. It needed the right as this kick comes inside the forward 50 from Milne. Stolen away brilliantly by Hooker. The quality of the opposition said everything you needed to hear about that. Goddard, though, chips in, steals a kick. Goal coming up for the Saints. Some indecision, though. Del Santo keeps it alive. Into the path of Stephen. Went to ground. Montagna, normally good with the ball in his hands. Not so that time. Revolt! Just misses. That was quick thinking. The ball sat up obligingly. He had a decision to make and wasted no time making it. He pulled the trigger. That was good by Hooker initially, though, and then that.
That inside kick off half back inside. They just dodged a bullet then, Essendon. That was a low, high-risk kick that didn't come off.
So Hurley goes high and long. Hill was the target. Front spot was Howlett. Stephen won it off him.
I guess the positive about it was Courtney Dempsey bringing the ball back inside 50. It's the risk and reward thing. Do you really encourage the player to make it? I think with a side like Essendon, you probably do.
I reckon when you run along the boundary line and you're kicking over your shoulder and you haven't got your full vision in board, that's taking a big punt.
Yep.
McAvoy, good tap back, but well read by Howlett. Now Reamers. This is where the Bombers have looked pretty sharp, haven't they? They've been able to get the ball into that forward 50. Hardingham, 4 goals last week, including with his first kick in footy. Keeps it towards the pocket. Free kick. Well, Davies kicked the goal, but it's got to come back to Ryder.
All the way up, James, all the way up. Just 2 hands, 2 hands. Watch your head, mate.
Now, I think the umpire's got a good view. His side on there. He just a little bit of being impeded.
There are a couple of really telling signals that umpires look for, and if there's a hold of the arm or the almost a sail of the jumper, the umpire will play the free kick every time, and clearly seen the arm hold there.
So there's his set shot. He's kicked 17 goals this year. It's a pretty good return for the ruckman. Got, as we said, he got 3 against the Saints early this year. That's a good kick. Well, they're on. They've kicked the last 3 goals and lead by a handy 10 points.
It's one of the things we always think about Essendon when you come to watch them play. They are inconsistent. You're never quite sure what you're going to get, but they can score and they can move the ball and they can look very quick. And just in this early part of the game, at the moment, St Kilda just got no life around the middle. It looks like Essendon are the ones who are taking the ball clear of their congestion.
It was probably the one area. I mean, the attack for the Bombers has always been pretty good this year, so certainly those signs right now.
Bombers are doing a really good job at the moment of breaking up St Kilda's defence and forcing one-on-ones, and they've got a lot of movement through their midfield and kicking to that space. They really think they've got a speedy side that's going to trouble St Kilda again tonight. Zach Dawson, bit of trouble for the Saints too. Zach Dawson's down the race with the club doctor at the moment. He's looking at his shoulder.
Bombers lead by 10 points. Ryder now on the ball, taps it down. Inspired. The hand pass comes out from Del Santo. Graham's in the road. Flicks it back towards his teammate Del Santo. Got a good shepherd too from Geary. Now it's Gilbert, goes down towards half forward, revolts in front, clears he and Hurley, runs on inside the 50. Kazitsky missed it. Fletcher didn't, paddles it out of bounds. Boundary throw in.
Called for the deliberate, but certainly not there for mine.
So Ryder, in the rich tradition of Essendon goal-kicking forwards, ruckman. Think of Simon Madden, Paul Salmon. Of course, Salmon became almost a stationary full forward in a game that was different. Revolt taking a break, but you get the feeling it's not far away now. Tick, tick, tick. Thrown in, 35 metres around from the behind post. McAvoy goes up, slaps it down. Hooley, Prismal, in space Prismal. Gumbleton, almost the mark, spills in front. Howlett had it, lost it. Knocked across the line by Graham.
We almost had a bit of deja vu there when Ben McAvoy went up for the ruckman again. Like last week with the Hawks, the Bombers didn't have great representation at the front of the stoppage, so it's something that might need to look for from tonight's game.
So Garner back to Montagna. Quick release, but cut off by Zaharakis, and now Davey, very dangerous here. 2 bounces, a 3rd bounce. It's like a kamikaze effort here, running as hard as he can. Gumbledon had to stop and prop, and then on the left foot, can he find his target? Well done there by Goddard, and Neagle, handball over the top. Remus has to wait. Davey, who started all this, and then tried to win a free kick, didn't. Ball comes out the back. Gumbledon, little handball, doesn't go far. Saints retreating. Hayes, gee, Blake's handball wasn't too good. Well done, Hayes. Back to Neagle. Neagle getting involved early, that's good. And then Graham with a squeezy one that doesn't go far. Ray on the up, cut off. Hocking had a cut off. Well done, Blake. And then hacking it forward was Graham, but only as far as McVeigh. And McVeigh leans back and goes bang and kicks a goal. It was a long time coming, but it was worth it.
Well, we talk about football having being full defence starts all over the field, but really against St Kilda, Essendon are just going to block up the St Kilda defence if that's the part of the ground that initiates the St Kilda's attack, and they're doing it really well. They got a lot of numbers in there, and that was just a wild kick out of there that basically went back into the centre square, created the McVeigh shot at goal.
Sense of deja vu here too for the 3rd week in a row. They kicked 4 of the first 5 goals.
Not only was it a blaze away, it was a blaze away to the middle part of the ground. I think if you're going to blaze away as a backman, get at least wide out to the boundary line. Terrible mistake by Graham.
Here's back to Dempster, kicks it down towards half forward. Just talking about the Bombers, the West Coast Eagles. Thanks to Mark Lacroix, reeled them in. North almost got to them. And we've spoken about the class of the Saints. The Saints, though, off the pace at the moment. Kick comes out wide from Hooker. Zaharakis told to go. In 2 minds, back to Stanton. Chips along the line. Prismal. 7 minutes out from quarter time. Not a bad crowd tonight. Short one. Not as big as last week, though. Lonigan. Stanton. Across the ground. Some leg on that one. Did well. Hocking, though. Good coverage. The man came to him quickly. That was Lynch to close down the mark. But now, with the excellence of the kick up the outer side, Hooker's got the ball. Told to play on. Looks inside the forward 50. Sets it up. Hill from behind. Almost. He's paid the mark. The big fella.
Go through. Mark. No, man behind you.
That's a nice way to come back.
To get the impression that Hill and Ryder like playing against St Kilda. This is could be the 3rd goal from the 2 big fellas. They kicked 7 when the Essendon beat them earlier in the season. So they enjoyed that. St Kilda jumper, I think.
If you're in that pack too, it would never have sounded good because you had 2 big dinosaurs lumbering up behind you, Hill and Gardner, and you would have heard them coming. Hill comes in though and adds to the lead. 6 more, margin 22.
I mean, it goes without saying, some worrying signs for St Kilda at the moment. They just look lackadaisical. They're trailing up their direct opponents. When you know St Kilda are on their job, obviously we praise them for their defensive work, and even in a situation like that, you'd expect to see the numbers all coming in, 3rd and 4th man helping out. So plenty to work on for the Saints. They're down in all the major statistical categories at the moment. In particular, tackles. When the Bombers are dominating possession like they are, 16 to 10 in the tackle count too.
Big part of the halftime show, Matty Knights. He's liking what he sees. It's only the 2nd time this year the Saints have had 5 goals kicked against them in the opening quarter. The other time was that crazy Monday night when Carlton slaughtered them. Kicked 5-7. Well, we've still got a few minutes to go. They've had it inside their 50 enough, you reckon, the Saints, but Bombers have been very efficient, to say the least.
I've liked what Hooker and Hurley have done. Their early defensive decisions when the ball's in the air has been fantastic.
Well, Hill in missed 6 matches with a hamstring, and that's a poor handball. Davey quick to get back. Geary just overran it. Dal Santo's little give was good, and then Geary on hands and knees in the end, really, and then Gardner's left foot, and there he is again.
He's playing a game, isn't it?
There's a few Western Australians. There's actually
50 metres. Gets outside.
There's 7 Western Australians out there tonight playing for the Bombers. They've got a couple that aren't playing that are pretty regular, like Pears and Jetta. A lot of WA influence, haven't they?
They've always liked WA, the Bombers, haven't they?
And well served.
Yes.
Stanton to Collier, and then Collier from 50 kicks to the top of the square. Ryder set himself. Monfries, was he pushed from the back? Yep.
And this was okay, but you fell right into his back. Play on.
And Monfries does just that, kicks his second, and the Bombers have got, yes, 6.
Well, there's absolutely no look of a top 4 side against a non-finals team at the moment. It's Essendon have got the life, and St Kilda have now got to turn the game around. They have done it many times in the past. We'll just have a look at this decision. Yeah, fell on his back. Dennison, you're always on a slightly opposite side, we think, of your protection for the ball carrier. But I like that one.
But you're right, Lee, you hit the nail on the head. They're not looking like a top 4 side at all. They're getting dominated in all the outpossessed 80 to 62 in favour of Essendon. Tackles is the big one, 16 to 11. So the intent from the Bombers is there. And the Saints certainly looking second rate at the moment.
5-goal lead early on. That's got to pick you up. You start to look at the Lenny Hayes, the Goddards. They're the guys that have to turn it for St Kilda.
So we're back in the middle. Look at that scoreline. 36 plays 8. Terrific start by the Bombers. Just fell across the line last week, but gee, it's amazing what a win can do for confidence, and confidence so much part of success in the AFL. Now, Joe Watson is sitting down again for the 3rd time in the quarter. Tim, any news?
No, he normally has 2 or 3 breaks a quarter, so nothing really unusual about that.
Okay, well, they're doing it without him at the moment. Just 4 possessions. He was limping earlier. Lonergan smothered off the boot. Collier slips a hand pass away. It ricochets back to him. Strong tackle. Del Santo, down he goes. So that's a bonus. Watson with just 4 possessions. One of the best midfielders in the competition. But I've got to think it's galling for him not to be even the best in his family yet. But he's coming, Tim. Knocked out of there by Ryder. Stolen away by Prismal inside the forward 50. Off hands at the back. Nigel! Saints in desperate trouble.
Isn't it interesting that Sam Fisher, that will that has been won by Essendon to get Monfries onto Fisher. Now, we'll see that in the top of the screen. In the foreground of the screen, that Fisher, he just is under pressure because the game's being taken to him by Monfries. Amazing, just drops an easy mark, and the 50-metre penalties, all the bits and pieces of the game are very much going the Bombers' way. St Kilda are just so off the pace at the moment.
And what you need in situations like this is your senior players to stand up. It was an elementary mark, if you like, for Sam Fisher. They need to crack in here, get a Hayes tackle or a Del Santo tackle and a revolt mark forward, some strong defensive play. Just the basics, really start to nail the basics.
Extraordinary scoreline, isn't it?
Play on.
7 goals in the opening term. Watson now out of the centre. Well done by Milne, crashing in, handballing forward. Down low with a little give there was Dempster, and then back to Dempsey. Good give to Lonergan, to Fletcher. And then Fletcher, dangerous ball, but Watson, you knew he wasn't going to shirk that. Inside, the right way to go to Hocking, and then Hocking penetrates. Dangerous spot, right in front of goal. Gwilt went to ground, almost hunting him off the ground. It's a behind. Down to you, Tim.
Well, St Kilda are really concerned about Fletcher's influence across half-back. So Dempster, who was playing on Watson, has now come back off the bench and he's gone to Fletcher. So they're just trying to get a tag to Fletcher and just try and stop his influence back there.
7-goal opening term. Now, the last time that was done against the Saints, Geelong round 10, 2007, when the Cats were flying.
And look at this, they won't have anyone free to go to except out wide. They're very much making sure St Kilda we've got no free, easy targets.
Goddard just lobs it into the path of the lead provided there by Hayes. So Hayes at right half back. Interesting. Dempster at the present time on Fletcher. Obviously, normally that role would fall to Andrew McWalter, but he was dropped and didn't get the reprieve despite the fact Jones went out of the team. Terrific mark taken by Hooker. Possibly the best on the ground so far. Almost unpassable.
It's the one-on-one mentality the Bombers have got at the moment. They're not employing any sort of full-ground squeeze. It's the one-on-one contest they're backing themselves in to win.
Goddard from the side, got a fist on that one. Zaharakis arrived quickly. Over the football was Geary. Crawls back after it. It spills out Collier. He's lightning quick. He's on the boundary. Collier. Inventive kick, but he misses to the near side. The boy from Claremont.
They look quick again tonight, the Bombers. I don't think they have at times this year, but they look quick tonight. Gumbleton just picks himself up. From tonight, we've seen a lot of Saints. He's in a bit of strife, I think. And so is Joey Montaigne. Gee, it hasn't been good for noses here for the Saints in the last week, has it?
Right there, Carl.
And that's got nothing to do with the surface.
No, forget it. Can't blame that on that one. So a couple of players coming off, Montaigne and Gumbleton.
Is that an AFL directive? You get these sort of red hanky?
That's a white hanky. It was white.
You can't say that, Lee.
There's plenty of action down on the interchange bench. Just looked like a knee right on the sort of hip pointer or the ribs there for Gumbleton.
So Gilbert. So important, Gilbert and Fisher, aren't they, for that run for the Saints? Haven't seen it in the opening term. Didn't see a lot of it last week, obviously, against the Hawks.
Done it again, hemmed them in, made them kick down the line.
Which is exactly what they've had to do. Now, McAvoy, Ryder, great march.
Terrific vision there. You could really see what the St Kilda player had to look up, and it was one-on-one everywhere. And if you're going along to the contest, Paddy Ryder's confidence has certainly grown with the addition of David Hill in this team.
That was fantastic. What a classic mark. The hands weren't there early. They just latched onto the football. Centre half back. This is Hocking. Little chip. Finds Davey.
Essendon got to be careful they don't chip the ball across the half-back line. That enables St Kilda to get their numbers back in Essendon's forward line. You've sort of got to go all one way or not at all.
Yep.
Hooley's got it. No one behind him from either side. Kicks short of the wing. Hill again. Missed a fair bit of football, but he's working hard. Interesting manoeuvre. Hooley goes along the boundary line. Gets there in time. Watson has it.
The challenge for a young team is to identify what they've done to get themselves into a winning position here. So this is a great period of test for the Essendon Footy Club.
Why not go to this man? Ryder. Inside the centre square. The clock is running down, just over the minute to go. Chips it out wide. McVeigh with a long goal earlier. 1 of 7 so far. The first term dominated by the Bombers.
And then Watson back to McVeigh. Could be a turnover here. Peak gets a free kick.
I've got Kazitsky in the middle.
Can they get a late goal here, the Saints? They need it, that's for sure. The scores were the other way around right now. You'd be just about going home, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's right.
One thing we have learned over the past couple of years is to ride off St Kilda at your own peril. So stay tuned.
So D'Alessandro and Goddard work together, and then Dawson, and that's a kick 50-50. Blake, Hocking. So Blake to move it quickly. Saints one last chance. Revolt, Kazitsky, big fly, Ryder at the back. Peak, well done, Hurley. Stripped him of the footy, and then Hurley comes away. And good kick. And Hocking in short to Watson.
They were going forward quickly. Then the last 2 minutes, they wanted to hold the ball up around midfield, Essendon. Maybe it was just that was the instruction for the last minute of the term.
Well, what an unusual quarter. Thrilling from an Essendon point of view. Perplexing if you're a Saints fan. Revolt got the first goal of the match, and then the Bombers got the next 7. On Friday night footy, it's 44-8.
The first tactical response to what Essendon set up at the beginning.
Started the second term then, Friday night football. And the Saints with a lot of work to do. Gardner starts at least in the right direction, tapping it down, but they're going nowhere. 7 goals to 1 in the opening term. And as Bruce said, the Saints got the opening goal. So from then on, it was one-way traffic. Ryder, part of the man who directed the traffic, he and Hill, whoever was on the ball, really had an influence. And then he went forward and kicked a couple of goals. Hocking goes down, taken high, gets the free kick.
They're reactionary at the moment, aren't they, the Saints? Often second to the ball. Schneider to Fletcher. There's a promising build-up, and then Fletcher's going to go to Zaharakis. Got him just outside the range, you would reckon. Fletcher, such a key still. Kick to the pocket. Good mark, Hooley, and he's in the right spot for a lefty.
Yeah, stay there. Yep. That's the line.
It's made so many times. Stanton would have been tagged off by Clint Jones. He's played defence just recently, and he has had a really good start to the night, surging out of the Essendon defence. He didn't quite mark that, but probably protected Hooley's back to enable him to.
So just the 3 games coming into tonight. 4 this year. He's battled to get back into this team. Good kick off the boot. Beautiful kick. That's his first goal this year. They're 8 goals to 1.
It's interesting, this situation when you're the really favoured team, obviously, which St Kilda were. It becomes now not to panic.
Yep.
That when the game is just not going the way the script was designed pre-game, and it's a big margin. 7 goals is a big margin at any stage of the game. But the ability of St Kilda to not panic and to actually just try and wind the margin back.
So it's 50 plays 8. To put that in perspective, you go back over the course of the season, Collingwood, the Dogs and Geelong, in one match at least, all failed to score 50 points against these Saints. Over the football, Del Santo going nowhere. Tackled immediately by Prismal. Ball bouncing around in there. Tackled as Hocking, taken down. Hayes just flicks it out. Well done by Goddard into the path of Schneider. Goes the right boot down towards half forward. Coming up to mid it. Revolt running out of space. Hooks it to the pocket. Yes, sir. Fletcher just reaching out, directing things as only he can, and gets it out of bounds.
They're going to be the kind of balls that give Nick Revolt a lot of confidence. We've seen him launch at the ball the past couple of weeks, but the low balls at full speed are the ones he's going to take a lot out of.
Howlett, who started well in that opening term, got out over the top. Still Howlett, down low, he released it. And then Ryder has had a wonderful start to this match. Well done, Graham. He just worked Reimers out of it. Got a little toe poke forward. Stephen. And now Reimers taking them on. Oh, he just squeezed it. And in the front spot, Hooley, who's been good. And then confidently takes a bounce to Prismal. And then back to Hooley. Back inside to Hocking. Little gift to Prismal. High tackle. I was just thinking of the earlier back page of the Herald Sun, that shorter quarter. I reckon Bombers fans would take 17.5 minutes. That'd do us right now, wouldn't it?
It's about now the Bombers fans wanted to be at 20 minutes into the last quarter.
The old lightning carnival, just the halves of footy.
That's the trouble when you're the underdog and you're this far in front with this much to go. Anyway, here's Geary on the up.
Gave it to Schneider, to Goddard, slips it away. Hayes under pressure, drives it inside the forward 50. They need the captain here, and he comes through. Revolt looks to the middle, just lobs the ball. Will it get there in time? Dempsey got hands to it, couldn't hang on. Dempsey came charging through. Hurley did brilliantly. Over the top to Stanton. Hooley gives it back to Reimers. He's been busy in the last couple of minutes. Hooley run down from behind by Graham. Standing his ground was Wilt. And that's pretty good work by the Saints there. For a moment that ball was gone, but they earned the right to fight again.
The decision, Rewell didn't decide not to have the shot at goal. It looked like he might have been able to find the St Kilda teammate in the centre corridor, but Essendon got there. All those little things are going Essendon's way early.
Bounce just inside the centre square. Gardner knocks it down. Dempsey looking to control it. In his hip pocket was Farron Ray. Belated whistle holding the ball.
They're the sort of contest St Kilda need to win.
Just come in and dive on it. Ball's out.
To gain a bit of momentum.
Hayes to Del Santo. I think we're going to have to call those guys a bit for them to win, don't you? And the Goddards of this world. So Del Santo backtrack to Gwilt. Played the game of his life against the Cats, didn't he, a few weeks back, Gwilt, on the big Friday night at the G. Bad kick. Dempsey probably could have done slightly better there. Ray got it from Goddard. And then Del Santo back to Gwilt. Now he's going to wind up and then decide to have another look. Kick to centre half forward. Kazitsky sets himself. Hooker out a magnificent opening turn. Fletcher out in the full. Not the result he wanted.
High on.
Gilbert inside. And then Graham. Careful kick to Revolt.
Couldn't hang on. Almost a free kick, you would have thought, to Revolt, but Hook has played so well. The umpire obviously likes the cut of his jib. It comes out to Reimers. He got it from Hocking, has a bounce, runs beyond the wing, gets by Geary, gets around Gilbert, but he's gone too far.
Yes, that little bit of good fortune. I think that that spoil in the centre corridor about 2 minutes ago, and the spoil on Rewald probably with those knocked arms.
He was a bit stiff there too. He did bounce it just before he got into his move to beat a couple. Meantime, on the other side of the ground, the Orlando Bloom lookalike puts it long down towards full forward, reaching over the top, almost Fletcher. Stolen away by Lonigan. Hurley, Lonigan, Collier. You can sense their confidence is on the rise. Hocking beats a would-be tackler, Dempsey. The Saints got a hand to it, but it still found the mark. Collier goes out wide. Look at Hill telling Nigel where to go, sort of. It goes down towards half forward. Monfries knew what he was doing, knew where the ball was going, knocked it to his own advantage, storms into goal. Jets it, doesn't score. It ricochets across the line. Geary getting back in the nick of time.
Great effort by Geary. Monfries would just like to have that kick one more time. Schneider with a fumble. Howlett, Schneider well done. Back it goes to Graham. Yes, just got rid of the footy. Okay, Schneider off one step. Gardner had to take it down low, couldn't quite. Hill's been superb. To Hocking, the quick switch. To Lonigan, to Davey. Not even Davey could get through that lot. And now Reimers puts a tackle on Peake, and then Gwilt. They are very much on the back foot at the moment, the Saints. Montagna asking a lot here of Revolt, but Milne running onto it. Stevie, he's almost within range for him. Decides to do the right thing and hit Kazitsky on the chest.
That was a kick, good kick back inside by Montagna. He only had, this was the Monfries got back well.
Yep.
Geary. But when Montagna was prepared to actually kick it back into the centre square, he had nothing down the line. He had to take the risk. Paid off.
So he kicks it just a bit better than 50% set shot so far this year. That's one of his worst, you'd think. Stanton down low. Stephen over the top. Ball comes out. Revolt hooks it back. It's a goal, I think. Yep. The Saint captain kicks his second and his team's second.
Well, that's what they need. All the good fortune in the game, as well as the ability that they've put out there, Essendon tonight. It's gone their way early on, I reckon. But this is one broken play, good spoil, good numbers. I guess Stan's just a bit careful. He wants to get the ball clear, not get pinged. Goddard to Rewald just gets him going.
That's what it is. It's Goddard to Revolt. We need here Hayes, Del Santo. Show some excitement, some fight.
Well, starting the night, he booted 35 goals in 11 games against the Bombers. He's got 2 so far, and I suppose the silver lining is the Saints have given themselves plenty of time to catch up. Early going in this second term on Friday Night Football. Hill has made a terrific return. Goes up, wins it decisively. Lonigan out of the middle, down towards half forward. Saints needing to hold here. Geary knocked it in front. Zaharakis, Davey. Opportunity for Ryder, slipped. Then he fell over his opponent, Gilbert. Meantime, it comes across towards Montagna. Gave it to Ray. McAvoy back to Montagna. Bit more steadiness about the Saints just for the moment. A bit more energy. Very lackluster early. Goddard just pops it across to Gwilt. Peake is free. Thought about it. Now Fisher sets off towards the outer side. He'll go to Fisher. Puts it high in the air, sitting Davey a task. Fisher had it knocked away by Davey, close to the boundary line. Fisher did well. Revolt, their only goal kicker, goes along the line. Kazitsky just forward the wing. Open forward line. Stanton is getting back to give Essendon the numbers back there. Kazitsky, indecisive. Fisher, Goddard, Gwilt. They need a long kick. He'll go along the line once more. Close to the boundary line. Dempsey stolen away by Del Santo.
He did brilliantly there to Montagna. 50-50 footy. Hurley back to Howlett, to Hurley, to Howlett. And now to Dempsey, and now to Stanton. And then Stanton goes to a one-on-one. Dawson and Hardigan. He went to ground Hardigan. Dawson held his. And now Gwilt. Blake peaks on his own.
I'd love to see the Saints play on from some of these marks, just really take the game on. They're just being a little bit too stagnant with the way they move the ball forward.
Short.
They've actually pushed the extra forward upfield, so they've got the extra number in the back half now, St Kilda, but be interesting. That'll change the flow of the game a little bit. They'll be able to kick the ball around to each other, so we'll see if that alters.
So first kick for Tom Lynch, and he did the right thing, kick to your captain. That's always a good idea, I reckon, don't you? Particularly when it's Nick Revolt. So about the margin it was at quarter time.
Just see down there with the tackles that St Kilda getting back into the game, 10-5 this quarter after being significantly beaten in the first quarter. So that's a start, getting back into the contested situation, making a statement.
Just for the moment, feel there's a bit of a tug of a war going on here. And the Saints are trying to wrest back the initiative. It's a long way back, 51-14, but things are improving. They just can't concede now a cheap goal. Gardner very conscious of Hill. Hill works in front, first hand of the ball again, stolen away by Hayes. His forte in trouble, fell at his feet, peeks over the football now, gets to his, taken down front on by Stanton, and the ball up.
There are two clear ways to arrest, I guess, or change the momentum of a game. One is to deny the opposition possession of the ball, which St Kilda are very adept to, but also the other one is take the game on, play through. And Essendon haven't been a great defensive side all year, so I'd like to see the latter be enforced by the Saints.
Got up, third man up to Hayes, to Montagna, to Geary, kicks inside the forward 50, backing his judgment again. Hooker peeled off. That's been an intriguing duel. Rebolt's got a couple. Watson went short to Stanton, deep in his own defensive area. Stanton goes back still further. There's Fletcher. There's a short one onto the pocket. McVeigh takes his man towards Hurley, but there's still time enough. He goes to Hurley now, does Fletcher. Hurley's away, well shepherded by McVeigh. Need to be careful, Stanton. That's a beautiful kick coming out. Well, just short of the mark. Zaharakis went down, found it. Clever. Watson, or was it Prismal? Watson's got it now, runs towards half forward.
And the half volley by Hardiman was good, and then back to Watson. And then Watson from 50 goes to full forward. Ryder worked underneath. And the mark taken by Gilbert. That's the one thing they're not doing. They're not scoring as easily, are they?
Better set up for St Kilda now. Gilbert's now spare back, I think. Stanton is at the other end.
So Milne with one bounce. And then back to Gardner. Careful kick to Schneider. Big chance here. He's got on his own in the pocket Lynch. I think he might have missed him, though. He has.
In the direct comparison between Gilbert being spare for St Kilda and Stanton for Essendon, I'd prefer to have Gilbert because he reads the ball in the air as well. Stanton's more a link-up, run-and-carry sort of player, but Sam Gill can actually take the ball off the opposition himself.
Stanton hooks it out and finds Ryder. Stanton's been terrific. Collier, well done by Geary. There's a couple of little touches that Geary's had in this quarter that have been important. And then Montagna gets it from Gardner and doesn't quite. Tim, just the effort of Stanton. Stanton, interesting. How long has he been playing in the back half? I know he did last week.
Just over the last couple of weeks. It was an experiment 2 weeks ago. He's been heavily tagged. They were trying to find a spot for him, and they believe if they put him behind the ball, he can actually play on somebody, provide some run for him. It's been a real winner over the last couple of weeks.
8-3 to 2-3. Hurley to himself, runs outside the square and then prods it to Ryder inside his defensive 50 by a couple of metres. Goes towards the outer side wing. Storming up the ground is Hardingham, and that's a terrific grab. He snatched it away from Dawson. Bit ambitious, wanted to go. Full credit to Dawson. Kept his mind in the contest. Applied some pressure, forced the error.
4 goals in your first game is a good effort by Hardingham, but I think that hit us. There's a couple of those big grabs. There's some real highlights in those 10-odd possessions.
And just to highlight the shift in the game, the inside 50 is now 9-4 in favour of St Kilda this quarter.
Reimers, Lonigan, now he's in real trouble. Got the 360, ball came out. Graham pleads his case. Prismal to Lonigan. High ball down towards the 50. Gilbert's in front. Big leap at the back. Hardingham fell in front. Taken there by Reimers. Lines up at goal. But sprays it wide to the right of behind. Reimers has been busy. One of the few guys in the competition who can be less flamboyant going with yellow shoes.
We wondered what he'd wear tonight. Standing, getting it from Zaharakis. Looked up, good kick. Hurley. Now he's a pretty long kick. He decides to go to Hill. Good mark. Well, I think Tim gave us a stat at the start of the game that Hill took 5 marks inside 50 in the last time they played against one another. This is certainly his second one at least tonight, isn't it?
It's a good shot over here. It's a great technique. He's jumped early and taken the space and got the arms out.
High jump, isn't it?
And as we've commented, with a really good contested marks, taking it to the highest point.
Well, that tug of war Dennis talked about, this is a massive kick, isn't it? Because
yes.
It's been a long time for either team really to get a goal. Hill from 50. He's hooked it just a bit. He's an impressive footballer, isn't he?
Yep.
When he's in full flight. They only won one of the 6 games when he didn't play with a hamstring. They were actually in 9th place when he went out.
Yep.
And then lost touch with the 8 when he wasn't playing.
Important player.
Yep. And he gives them so much flexibility with Ryder, doesn't he? It frees a lot of things up for them, a lot of alternatives. Pushing up the ground is Hayes. Little 1-2 there. Montagna comes into the play. Gave it across towards a teammate in Ray. The high ball from Graham down towards half forward. Up went Revolt. The chain of hand passes in the opposite direction. Hooley gave it across to McVeigh. Bounces it to the wing. Gumbleton, or rather Neagle. Neagle's hand pass not so flash. Dawson handles it across to Geary. Geary goes down towards right half forward. Revolt. He's marked this one, and as you can see, not much on inside the forward 50, but they're flooding back. Not so much Essendon, but his teammates were darting inside that 50. And Montagna's finished up with it within scoring range.
Yeah, that was an important kick by Hill. We miss it as we know, but St Kilda stabilised the game, no doubt about that, in this this part to this point. But they've got to wind back the scoreboard.
Another couple of goals before half-time, and the margin becomes manageable. This looks the first of them. Montagna splits the middle.
A crucial miss from David Hill, albeit a long shot. We just see the opposite of that with Montagna. But we noticed Nick Revolt was the player who delivered into Joey Montagna. Kale Hook has been doing a great job on Nick Revolt tonight. Unfortunately for Bombers fans, he's on the bench at the moment, and Dustin Fletcher had to pick up Revolt and got a little bit too much space.
That was pure work rate then from Nick Revolt. There you see him take the mark, but the passage of play before he contested, the 2 Essendon players were right alongside, but he just outworked them in actually becoming that outlet player for St Kilda. Great signs here for Essendon too. Gumbleton just warming up again. He's just come back out onto the bench. They've been looking at his ribs and his back, but he looks okay. So the Saints, they've kicked 2 1 to 3 points in the last 17 minutes. Dempsey, well, got lucky a bit.
Ironically, he slipped.
Got a lucky slip.
Got a lucky slip. There we go.
Yeah, no, he was lucky. He was going to be caught cold, wasn't he?
Neagle's lack of conditioning really cost him a moment ago, didn't it? Poor decision under pressure. And then Reimers there again. Just little things now for the Bombers. They weren't second grabbing in the opening turn, were they?
No.
Well, Brad Johnson, I think, told Dennis and Tim 4 goals would be about the spot that the Saints should try and work back to. And they're sort of closing in on that. Schneider back to Graham, and then Graham goes long. Revolt always a target. Hooker with him, did well. Roving it was Milne, and then McVeigh, who kicked a terrific goal in the opening term. He's actually on 101 goals. His brother at the moment is sitting on 100. They came into this match dead level. Mark has played a few more games than Jarrett.
32 points the margin then. Hooked down behind by McAvoy. Well done by Hocking. His opponent in the air. Watson gave it across to McVeigh. High ball short of the wing. Gilbert came up to meet it. Wilt camped in front. He's over the football. gets to his feet. Players hanging off him, and he's penalised.
Made no attempt. Thank you.
Third umpire Chamberlain. So Howlett, one of those West Australians we were talking about before from Peel Thunder, goes back to Hurley. Hurley drives it towards the outer side. Hooker being very reliable. Makes possession, has the football at right half back. Just under 5 minutes to half time. Plays on. Some indecision. Untidy. Fletcher makes it look okay. Goes to Watson. He's on the outer side. We met Tony Abbott yesterday. Let's see if that meeting affected what he's about to do and affected him in general. Goes with the right. No surprise. Comes across to Hocking. Hocking. Little chip.
He was with Julia Gillard, was he? Hocking with the left.
What do we read into that? I'm still trying to work that out.
It's all fair, see? Balance. We report, you decide. Kick goes inside the forward 50. Grant comes up and takes the mark.
Just not working enough, the Bombers at the moment. Hooker a moment ago had no one to go to.
St Kilda have got their defensive structure in place again. They're allowing, or Gilbert's being able to float back into there. So the way the game is being played suits the type of structure that St Kilda like to set up. Here goes Gilbert again to try and bring it out.
Getting it from Fisher, and then well done Remus cutting off Montagna.
Problem is, we know about St Kilda's structure. They don't score great with it. They just stop the opposition from scoring. But obviously now they've got to make up the margin. So you can't just hold Essendon. You've got to score heavily yourself.
So Ryder and McAvoy, Hayes so good in the clearances, and then a low, long one, Revolt, well done Fletcher, little tack, and then Butters up, and then Hooker. So the masters of the apprentice, and then Hurley, and Hurley goes to full forward. Well played by Hardingham to get rid of his man. Fisher cuts across, can Hardingham put the tackle on, sawed off, Neagle back on, handball was good, Hardingham back inside, switched by Zaharakis, and now Hurley's a left footer, and that's a good kick, it's a chance, it's a goal. Woo. Oh, that was important. He's kicked two.
It's a bit surprising the Essendon players. Hardingham looks like he's coming off for a spell, but that second effort after the marking contest was critical. Nagel got there as well. We'll have a look at this. Didn't get to the ball first, but laid the tackle, forced the turnover, and then butted up for the second effort. That was a really good bit of play.
I thought he put the left footer in a bad spot for a moment, didn't you? But
yeah.
Yep.
The second effort there from Hardy to follow up and chase. We just see here, I'm not quite sure whether Sam Gilbert knew that Basher Hurley was a left footer. Gave him a look, and he's been pretty impressive tonight. I think he's been a really good addition to this side.
Took a long time to get into the team in that middle part of the year, but done well tonight.
Hurley did well too, kept his cool. He was held up by the hand pass initially, but didn't blow it. There's McVeigh. So the Bombers with the answers at the moment. There's Hurley again. Attracts the crowd, will have the ball up. So Hurley has scored 2 goals in 3 games during his career, twice against the Saints. One down by McAvoy. Collier with the ball at his feet, left it behind, goes again. Peake tried to wrench it out of there, but nothing doing.
It's been a great defensive effort so far from the Essendon Footy Club, only conceding the 21 points so far. The past 6 weeks, they've actually been, on average, conceding 63 points in the first half, so they're sticking to their guns pretty well tonight.
Well, for all the plaudits we were giving the Saints, they trailed by 36 points at quarter time. It's now out to 38. Montagna, Gwilt, runs to the centre square. Long kick inside the forward 50. Revolt looking to do something special. Missed the mark. Hocking, Watson, nicely done. Monfries. Pace again the key as far as the Bombers are concerned. Oh, triumph. Remus comes back to Fletcher. 2 minutes to go in the term.
Short he goes. It's one of the things the Saints haven't been able to do, Lee, is hold the ball in their forward line too often.
No, it's come out.
Nick Walsh is one of those players who's made a career out of that. He's obviously out of the side tonight, but it's going to fall down on the players like Milne and Schneider, the smaller forwards.
Well, I reckon it was about this time in the opening quarter they did something similar, didn't they?
Yeah, it might be that there's just late in the quarter, but it's also because the setup now means there's an extra defender for both teams.
Well, they've worked it well, I think. Collier gets it and can run and kick down the line. McVeigh running very hard.
It's a good spot to have it out of bounds. They were outnumbered where the fall of the ball was going to be.
They're on track for 140 marks at the moment, Essendon. That's a very un-St Kilda-like statistic on the other side of the coin.
Boundary throw in left half forward, then Ryder to no one in particular. In fact, release Goddard, a little 1-2 with Graham, carries the ball up towards the wing, back towards the middle, stretching. The mark is taken by Fisher. Schneider 55 metres out, revolt.
Good strong hands. Fisher took the muggy. Fisher's gone into the forward half, and Monfils has gone with him.
Yep.
It's interesting, that one. I know Monfils was going to play as a defensive forward, but to play defence when Fisher's playing forward, I don't know whether Matthew Knights-Ness will be comfortable with that matchup. He's a bit small, Monfils.
That was very lax at the boundary throw in too. Essendon making a decision to drop players back and not have players where the ball was, and as a result it was a clear takeaway for the Saints, and this is the result. Revolt. Can he kick his third? Well, it was online early and then swings violently right to left. Something happened there.
It's interesting that the way Essendon are playing the game now with the setups is different the way it started. But I guess if you've got a 6-goal lead, even though it's early in the game, you can sometimes say, well, OK, we don't have to make the play to a degree, and we don't have to score heavily from this point on if we can stop the opposition.
And the challenge is going to be that when they can reassess at half-time to go back straight into that mode that was so successful for them at the start of the game.
Well, they're giving them one more chance here, which they shouldn't have got. A kick from Hurley out on the fall, and the short one in. And Lynch looks like he's going to have a shot on half-time in his debut match.
Get the siren in his ears just to affect his concentration just a little more.
Kick the goal and lead the side off.
Yeah, talk about front and centre, eh? First match. He would have dreamt about this, wouldn't he?
Oh, that'll agree.
Here we go. They need it. And it's not the result they wanted. Well, what a revealing first half we've seen so far. He'll be right.
That's the dream of insomniacs, doing it at half-time. If you have the long sleep, you get to the end of the game.
Well, it's 37 points at the long break on Friday night footy, and it's the Bombers over the Saints. What a big half of footy this is for the Saints, but also for Matthew Knights, you think, and the Bombers. Can they hang on to this 6-goal lead? Watson.
Never had the football, had him early. Joe Watson at the hole. Got it too early.
So Watson gets the first free kick. Been impressive, hasn't he, Hurley? A couple of second quarter goals. In fact, he was the only goal scorer for the Bombers in that second quarter. Just how attacking will they be? Prismal getting from Stanton. That's a good kick. That's 50, I reckon.
Unnecessary. Come on.
Oh, that's a bad one.
That hurts.
With Fisher going up into secure the forward line, now Monfils going to play the defensive forward role on Gilbert, but that's taken a possible goal into a definite goal. That's a bad error of control by Gilbert.
So Monfils kicks his third, but more importantly, Essendon stretch their lead at the start of the second half.
Yeah, really interesting that. I've got the feeling Angus Monfils is almost the perfect defensive forward, because he's a clearly a task-orientated player. I've heard Matthew Knight speak so positively about him as a clubman and the way he works, but he attracts the footy.
Yeah.
And as a defender, you know, you've got to pay him the respect he deserves, because he's very good in a one-on-one contest and kicks goals. So he did the job on Sam Fisher. Now looks like he's got the job for Sam Gilbert.
And that goal by Monfils equals their biggest lead of the night.
This action here, it really just is it's almost like your act of disappointment, isn't it? That's a bad 50.
Gardner taps it down. Hayes, Goddard, Montagna, Schneider, Geary. Some indecision, moves it about 15 metres. Reimers in trouble was Howlett. Eventually the Saints work it forward, but Hooker, who's been very strong back there, got a fist on it, knocked it forward. Reimers, well, that was 360 plus. Hooker over the top. A little bit of a fumble there by Prismal. Tracks it back. Schneider Now Del Santo spinning out of trouble. Great tackle, Hooker. Well, despite the fact Revolt has kicked a couple of goals, Hooker has been terrific.
Hey, just take it easy. Kyle, come back here. You got the free kick, don't give it away. No.
That could have been. And shortly afterwards, this was.
It's a great tackle. Textbook tackle.
Pinned the arm.
And so Hurley's kick, Zaharakis. Now Watson gone. Oh, high.
No, you've got him high. Joe.
So second free kick to Watson in this quarter.
Move it on.
See, it's a 50-50 call, isn't it? Short to Prismal.
Thanks, Lee. Move it on. Play on.
And Prismal goes to Gumbleton. Back on the field. Worked underneath free kick.
Free kick's there.
You're in Goose Body first.
Can't look too surprised by that one, I wouldn't have
Back
thought.
on your line, Scott.
So Gumbleton back to Hurley. Hurley to build an attack now.
Hurley very deliberately places the ball almost onto the chest of Ryder. Ryder 60 metres out. Back to Hurley. Hurley stabs it in hard, and Gumbleton able to hang on. Well, starting the night, he'd taken 81 marks. Only Jason Winderlich, who's missing tonight, and Brett Stanton had taken more, 94 and 92 respectively, but different sorts of marks, no doubt. 21 contested marks by this man led the team. And that one, I'm not sure how they score it. It looked contested to me. In he comes, slides it across the face of goal. Gardner, an element of danger there, slapping it back towards an unprotected goal, but across the line. So behind, Essendon 66 and Kilda 22.
They've built their success, the Saints, in the last couple of years on team discipline, hasn't it? Right now, that's one area that are letting them down. The Gilbert free kick, probably the best example. They're frustrated, aren't they?
Yep.
Fletcher belting it back, and then Geary. He's the late inclusion for Jones tonight. Geary's kick to centre wing. Hook and Revolt. It has been a terrific duel. Fletcher's been fantastic. Clever stuff. And then Reimers got rid of it, and they get away with it in the end. But they improvised.
They did. He's been impressive, Hooker.
I thought you were talking about the bloke in the crowd for a moment.
He came back off the rubber mats, Hooker.
Ryder. Prismal pulled off it in the end, and then Graham a bit up and under. Fisher has gone forward. Well done, Fletcher timed it well, and then Hocking had the strength to hold Schneider off and set Zaharakis alight at centre wing.
Zaharakis thinks about going, does now. Dempsey the run. Good work, carries it down towards the 50. Kicks inside. Geary won't get there in time. Missed by the man on the lead. I think it was Neagle. Spills behind Reimers. Slips a hand pass over the top, and Davey tries to paddle it to his own advantage. Spins out of trouble. Oh, that would have been a special goal. As it is, he missed by quite a margin, but electrifying stuff. They're up and about again. 67 plays 22. They're in control. And the Saints really on the ropes now. Just 3 goals for the Saints. And the way they score, they don't always score quickly. It's a long, long way back from here, and one doubts whether they can do it.
So Montagna running hard. Kaczynski, was it in? It wasn't.
Just it on the full now. Now. Michael!
So Hurley and Hooker, they've been winners, haven't they, with Fletcher across the back half.
That's pretty good.
Play on!
So Hurley, well, I'm not sure what he was trying to torpedo it. Hardingham in the front spot, but belted away. Good take by Montagna to Hayes, to Blake. The handball back to Hayes, had to arch his back, and then goes back to Blake. Hayes. They've corralled them in well, the Bombers. A kick to a contest at centre wing. Gee, Hurley did well there. Kaczynski's second effort okay. Hocking very good. Prismal in heavy traffic. Released McVeigh. And then McVeigh to full forward. Worked at the back. Reimers. High tackle, surely. Reimers, what are you doing?
Why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
Why would you do that? He was going to take the kick, I would have thought, from the centre of the goal square, but I think the free kick was in the middle of the goal square.
Well, maybe it's those boots, I don't know.
He's got the conformist boots on. He didn't conform that time. Graham, Milne, so quiet tonight. Lack of opportunities, though. Ray's kick, beautiful into the path of Revolt. It hit him on the chest as it turned out, but he was under extreme pressure. Kazetsky, Revolt, and he hit the post. Wow, they exchanged posters. More understandable Revolts than at the other end. And now Prismal from half back, the little short one, bounces it inside the centre square. Collier, released by Gumbleton, misses the target. Zaharakis coming up the ground, in trouble. Dawson, is it? He was strongly tackled down. We'll have a ball up.
Yes, mate, you stay there.
That was an errant handball, wasn't it? That not this one. That was just wanting to get rid of the pressure quickly.
It's a brain fade, isn't it?
There's
Watson.
not much pressure 5 metres out.
No. Lonigan held up, good tackle. Ball's come out though. Hayes, oh brilliant, to Ray in really heavy traffic there. Little kick forward came from Stephen, and then Hooker again. Free kick I think should have gone to Watson there. Ball comes out the back, McVeigh, he got a high one as well, and now Gang tackled, and then Hocking trying to get it to Hooker. Stevens' tackling has been really good. Goddard held up, Fisher held up, ball up. You know what's happened? Saints still can't score. That hasn't changed, has it?
What I think we're also seeing is St Kilda have been such a great side for a long period of time. They actually look out of sorts and lacking confidence. Some of their key players, particularly in the back half, are making fundamental mistakes, which you haven't seen for the best part of 3 years.
Collier flips it across to Stanton. Once again, Gumbleton providing. He does that well. Quite prepared to be the moving target. Kicks inside the forward 50. Oh, Hardingham.
He can jump.
Third man in the queue.
I tell you what, the book will be out on Hardingham pretty quick. Get your body against him, because if he gets a chance to leap, he's got elevation.
Sometimes players forget kicks are in 3D. Not a bad spot to be behind the first two. Bit more carry, and that's what happens. The opposition coach goes off his face. Hardingham. Directly in front. Should kick it. Does kick it.
You happy about your half-time tip, Lee?
I think we're pretty happy with the half-time tip. Now 8 goals, that's a big margin. It's interesting when you look at the inside 50s. Certainly Essendon have dominated. They've had 7 in this third quarter to St Kilda's 1. So they've dominated the first part of the quarter, but as we saw, Essendon had more inside 50s at half-time, but they, when the ball is in Essendon's forward half, St Kilda just can't clear it.
Zaharakis is having a rest after this tackle. This is the tackle, but one of the problems they had a few weeks ago, the Bombers, is that they were actually performing just arm tackles. It's been a real focus over the last couple of weeks to get their body right in, shoulder tackles, and that was just a perfect example of that.
Tell you what, he's keeping good company on the bench there, isn't he, with Simon Madden?
I was going to say, I reckon Simon Madden would be pretty happy with the way the Hill-Ryder combination's going at the moment.
Yep. Yeah, look, without being silly, it's impossible to see St Kilda winning from here, isn't it?
Yeah, I totally agree. It's just been a very un-St Kilda-like performance.
Well, Lee, you saw them against Collingwood a couple of weeks ago, where they were beaten by a very good team, and they were listless that day, weren't they?
Yeah, no, they were much. And last week, I thought they were lucky to salvage the draw last week against Hawthorn. They kicked 11-3, really accurate. They're in a bad patch just this last few weeks.
So Hill in the ruck, and then Lonigan. And Lonigan's left foot cut off by Fisher. Hurley, hot footy though, Hocking to Lonigan to Watson, and then Watson weaved his way through. Collier's pace has been really important tonight. Good left foot probing kick, lovely mark taken by Dempster. He played a lot of footy in the second half of last year, didn't play the first 2 finals, and was picked for that grand final. Of course, he and Schneider, the premiership players from Sydney that came to the Saints.
And this is partly why the pressure that's been generated on St Kilda's back half this last few weeks, they've become really shaky.
Stay out, Dave. Thanks, mate.
Goddard gave it to Peake after Kazitsky took that short pass in the back pocket. Just 6 possessions for Kazitsky. Here's Schneider. Well, unaware that he's been told to play on. So is Stanton, who's standing the mark. So eventually Schneider just steps into the kick and kicks it directly to Hurley.
How many times have we seen St Kilda have to kick down the line?
Yeah.
Because there's just no free targets cross field.
The one-on-one mentality of the Bombers has been really impressive. They haven't conceded St Kilda free players, whether it be through the midfield, up forward, down back. Really disciplined performance.
Fletcher, long kick across the ground, arrives in time. Dempsey's got it. I've got to say, Friday night certainly provides its share of upsets. Tipsters start the weekend depressed. Dempsey, short one, offering the lead Zaharakis. Just dictating the terms, doing much as they like. Zaharakis just backs off the man on the mark. Again, no pressure coming at him, so ample time to weigh up the kick and go to Howlett. Howlett draws McAvoy, kicks down towards half-forward. No real pressure on the kick. Well, McAvoy may have touched it. Was a mark paid? I think it was.
I don't think the mark was paid, Dennis, but the free kick was paid for the high tackle. And I think he paid as a kick off the boot.
McAvoy may have just touched it.
Not hard to tackle Alwyn Davies high, I've got to say, when he's low.
Just lays it off to Reimers. Reimers unloads. Ugly looking kick down towards full forward. A couple of Saints collide in midair. Off hands and across the line for a behind.
So the high tackle here.
Yep.
So Goddard just to himself, and then with a long ball wide, Ray takes the mark.
Move it on. High on. High on.
So Ray low down the line again.
Stretch.
McAvoy.
One more.
Just looking out over on the ground, it's been the case all night. It's just been one-on-one football from the Bombers, not allowing. They get the cheap uncontested marks down in the back half here, but further up the ground, the discipline from the Essendon side's been magnificent.
So Dempster got it to Blake, and now they might build to Dawson. Cool to go. He's in two minds. There's a scrubby old kick, isn't it, out wide? And Cosy very slowly chased that ball out of play, didn't he?
They just can't get in their penetrating players into the game. Goddard, who can run and carry and kick. Montagna, Graham. They just can't seem to get those guys involved.
Hayes still doing his bit. Goddard. Good effort there by Lynch. He did really well there. Now Fisher, and then Fisher to Revolt, who slips. Hooker also had a bit of a mistake, and then McAvoy getting back. Milnes missed it though. It sums up the night so far. Zaharakis for Fletcher. Fletcher trying to take Gilbert on, and then Collier did very well down low. Gee, was good then Collier. He was under the pump and got it to Fletcher, and Monfries touched it and it's out of play. But Nick slipping at the vital stage.
So often we hear the fans cry ball. Not often you hear them cry surface. But that's what they did right there, the Saints supporters. Knocked down by Hill. Missing the football is Hayes. That's too high. Prisball going over the top there. Hayes wants to go and does. Feeds it back to Graham, who's a long kick. He centres this one. Revolt lacking support off the fingertips in front of Hooker. Reimers is over the football now. Back comes Revolt. They gave him a play on that ball. In goes Peake, in goes Reimers.
Not so easy to say surface when you bellow it out from the crowd. It's got a bit of merit though.
A new tradition. One down by McAvoy, Dempsey, Lonigan, Howlett, Hurley, Stanton. How's that for confidence? Everybody running, assuming they'll control the football. Stanton in two minds now. Hurley tries again. Stanton running out of space. Comes back to Lonigan, involved moments ago. Short one to Prismal. Leading the Saints a merry dance. Prismal back to Hooker. Reimers is on for the next one. Reimers will take this ball at right half back. Running hard is Gumbleton. Gumbleton marks just shy of the wing. Hill wants it. Revolt follows Fletcher across the mark and towards the interchange gates. Hooker's got the footing.
So this is where Essendon now got to be prepared just to kick the ball around the back half for 15 minutes if St Kilda want to push too many players back.
So Hurley, no need to panic here. A long, long way in front.
eventually did panic and he kicked the ball forward when he didn't need to. That was a nice kick to touch.
Here's some Revolt roughing up. If we see a few kicks like that tomorrow night in the Bledisloe Cup, they'll be happy to touch.
Yeah.
That was just a beautiful kick to touch. With Revolt. Collier, Howlett, the two first-year players have been really good. And then Lonergan in his 50th. Howlett back to Prismal, again in his 50th to Lonergan, back to Collier. And then Hurley. Hurley's kick precise. Monfries not paid. Pushing the back, I thought, to Gilbert was a bit stiff. Howlett to Monfries, bursting forward, kicks to centre half forward, and Hardigan's got it.
Jeez.
He can take a contested mark, can't he? In more ways than one.
I tell you what, we have seen a bit of an Achilles heel exposed the last few weeks with St Kilda. Their defenders have been made to defend one-on-one.
Yep.
They haven't had sort of the ability to get a second defender there to make it a two-on-one. And gee, when that's happened the last few weeks, we've had a lot of situations like this where clearly the forward just did it better than the defender.
Well, but they've been so good at being a collective, being a whole, and now we're seeing perhaps the individual parts. And when you're so dominant as a unit, you don't get the chance to practice at training, let alone in games.
So Hardigan, who's kicked 6 goals now in his 2 AFL matches, he's been on winning teams both times too.
Yeah, it is amazing. I'm sure Ross Lyon and St Kilda will be saying, well, listen, we're just putting no pressure on the ball coming forward. And I guess there's an element of that. But I think we've just seen a lot of times here where tonight, particularly in the last few weeks, where opposition forwards have just basically outplayed their direct St Kilda defensive matchups. That's just a pressured kick. Forward did it better.
Well, Ross Lyon's trying to get a winning combination. Goddard now has gone forward. One of the things he did say at half-time, Ross, was he wanted them to actually cut through the middle of the ground. A couple of times they've had control of the ball, St Kilda, and they've been forced wide again. They've had no penetration whatsoever.
Watson to Watson. There's Hayes run into a dead end, taken down by Reamers. Trying to charge through Gilbert. Spills back to Reamers. Alert, kicks inside the forward 50. Collision there coming up the ground was Neagle. He collided with Fisher. Slapped out of there by Schneider. Picked up by Gwilt. Comes back to Dawson. Dawson to Gwilt. Just a behind so far in this term for the Saints. 3 goals have been scored by the Bombers. Hooley, who tonight has kicked a couple. That's a nice kick. Oh, missed by Prismal. Should have marked it. Revolt put the body in the opposite direction. Lonergan picked up by Dempsey. Stolen away by Graham. Geary feeds it forward. Revolt loops it over the top. Now Montagna. Del Santo on his left foot. Well, an indiscriminate kick. It runs back towards the goal square. Goddard tried to soccer it. Fletcher was brilliant. Little 1-2 with Hurley. Short one to Dempsey.
The master and the apprentice.
He might play till he's 40, doesn't he? He doesn't show any signs of aging whatsoever.
Michael Hurley makes great decisions, doesn't he, defensively?
Sure does. And well, Ryder's been another star. No, Fletcher was magnificent there on hands and knees. Lonergan. Little short one. Monfries has been busy. That's not a great handball, but okay. Now Prismal kicks to half forward and Gwilt belts it out.
In the past 2 weeks, we saw Sam Gilbert be ineffective as the rebounding defender for St Kilda last week.
Here's Fletcher, yep.
That's an amazing effort from both those players. This week it's been Sam Fisher. Monfries did the job. They really don't know what to do with Sam Fisher at the moment. He's had no influence on the game tonight.
Yep.
Gee, Watson rode that brilliantly. Now McVeigh on the wrong side for him, but he shrugged off Hayes. Kicks to half forward. Hill didn't go. And then Geary did and finds Hayes at centre wing.
Lenny Hayes against the tide. Goes towards the middle. Graham gets it away to Ray. Ray, that's a clever kick. So the youngster in his first game, Lynch. Question of accuracy. Question of nerve. Well, he didn't have the accuracy.
Didn't have the poise and the confidence either when you're under pressure. I mean, that was really a sitter from 25 metres out, but any shot's hard for St Kilda tonight.
Yeah.
Stanton just over the top to Watson. Watson at centre half back. And now 50 against Kazitsky. It came from behind the mark.
That was actually only the 4th inside 50 entry for the quarter for St Kilda. So they're not getting the ball into their scoring zone much at all. Not doing much when it does get there.
No.
In the protected area.
Well, Ross Lyon did say at the break we can't score, and I think he's going to say the same message at three-quarter time.
Ashton Kutcher is thinking of giving back his scarf as Watson goes short. McVeigh has got it. How would you be if you saw this after last week? Not the same side, but Essendon, different opposition. Here's Hocking, got it from Collier, looks inside the forward 50, hangs in the air, in from the side. Gilbert does well. Good defensive mark, Sam Gilbert.
And they need more of that. They need their key players standing up. So many times the ball's gone over the back, missed marks, missed tackles, those sorts of things. The key leaders of St Kilda have to stand up.
So Gilbert to Hayes. So much of the ball again tonight, Hayes, but not much else is happening. Now Goddard on the forward line. Quickly on. He's got Schneider with a long ball looking for him. Fletcher again. Oh, he's been magnificent. To Hill. To Hocking. And then Hocking squeezes to Howlett. Made a lot of good matches, Fletcher, over the years. I'm not suggesting this is his best, but he's been flawless, hasn't he? Goddard just dropped it down, and then Stevens threw it away, and then Davey mopped up. Watson building and building to Stanton, to Reamers. Not every decision he's made tonight's been a good one, but he's been busy, that's for sure, and decides to go with a long one. That's a pretty good decision. Well, not quite in the end. McVeigh couldn't quite get on the end of it.
I think McVeigh actually thought it was going to bounce through, but it was just the way the ball landed. It held up.
Fisher comes to Gardner. It all started across half back with Fletcher again. Here's the short one to Graham. Not bad policy. If Nick Revolt, the St Kilda captain, talks to one of the umpires and asks them to check number 31 for Velcro. It goes down towards the pocket, low down Mills, looks back towards the middle. There's a man on long. Well, getting in behind the wall, Kazetsky. The easiest of goals after such a long struggle. Should he kick it? Take nothing for granted tonight.
He's playing in the ruck at the moment. Is he Kazitsky or is he? McAvoy's out there. I'm not quite sure whether it was just a ruck changeover, but certainly if he was Hill's direct opponent, he got a long way clear.
Kazetsky in and puts it through. First goal of the second half. They trail by 52.
Not much noise, is it?
No.
I mean, they've kicked the goal, but not much enthusiasm in the St Kilda side because they've just had a really bad night. I think it was just the team defence. They just lost direct opponents.
Yep.
But they haven't looked like kicking an easy goal like that.
Well, there's some irony in this. Have a look at this. The Saints #1 in points against. Well, they've got 82 against them. St Kilda, rather the Bombers have let the most in tonight. They've got 30 against them as we speak tonight. I mean, if somebody told you it was 82 to 30 almost on three-quarter time, you say, oh, yeah, the Saints, eh? That's a normal win for them.
It could be really easy to chalk this down to just a bad night at the office, but trawling through all the statistics, the last month there have been some really worrying side for St Kilda. We're actually ranked 16th in contested possession. The tackles are outside the top 8. Clearances inside 50. So not saying we saw a performance like this coming. However, there are some worrying signs.
Good point. And Fisher back to Peake. And then Peake to Geary. Geary to centre wing. So Kazitsky getting the free against Hurley for the bump out. Now he's got a Lucy here in Goddard, so a couple of late goals all help. So a couple of holes in the Bombers' back half in the last minute.
Just back here, mate. Carl. Back here, mate. Thank you.
I think you called him Carl. It's Kale, isn't it?
It's Kale.
It is.
Well, he mightn't get the Brownlow votes tonight.
Better than hey you.
We had him
26.
At least it was close.
You'd reckon it's in good hands with Goddard, but it's been one of those nights for the Saints, but he's caressed it, and they get 2 goals in a minute.
It was interesting that Hurley, I know he just leant on Kosicki too early,
Yeah.
but he does actually topple over Kosicki, doesn't he?
Yep.
I mean, basically, he sort of leant on him, but he does not have a great low centre of gravity. Anyway, but he got the free kick, and Goddard got free.
Yeah, balls at ground level have been a bit of a worry for Justin Kosicki this year. Just doesn't look really strong over the ball, whether it's core, knees, quads.
So goalless for 35 minutes. The Saints scored 2 in 1 minute, but you would think he feels on very good terms with himself. Matthew Knights around the boundary. Just seconds remaining in this third term, and they've got a massive lead. And Hill has been one of the reasons why. Up very high, gets it down to Watson. Hill got the crumb. Howlett kicks towards half forward. Essendon not represented. Graham goes up, takes the mark. Can they get a third goal in the last few minutes here of this term? Montagna a fumble. We're down to 19. Clock continues to run. Geary's got it. Runner alongside. Goes to Graham. Graham inside the forward 50. Barely. No, just outside. And the mark is held on to by Revolt. Down to 6 seconds. Now he's looking for options. Just hope he doesn't kick it before the siren or kick it short before the siren. Oh dear. Well, that sort of night. Probably couldn't have scored from there. But even so, the clock makes it so dramatic. Counting down. 12-10, 5-6. Friday Night Football.
Going to be there for a long time, one would expect.
Yep. So can the
He's
Bombers...
been terrific.
Sorry, Lee. He has been outstanding, hasn't he? Can the Bombers really finish this off? I mean, they're in an unlosable position, you would think. Watson to Schneider. And Schneider running hard and over the top. Ray back to Schneider. Schneider's kicked a goal. Well, they've kicked 3 in a hurry.
Just a bit of a concentration thing there. The run there from St Kilda started at the centre bounce. Just see here, the Essendon players getting the attacking side of the ball. Maybe a young side getting a little bit overconfident, but you know, there's a long way back for the Bombers, for the Saints. Sorry.
They didn't protect the front of the centre square, did they?
No.
That was one of the rare occasions where the team that won the centre bounce just ran it out.
Did much the same last week. Schneider kicked some handy goals. He's a bit like a schnauzer. He's got a nose for goal. And this is a good kick. Took responsibility and jammed it through. Hayes, probably the Saints' best. Taken down. The umpire will do it again.
Got a great consistency, Hayes.
Yeah.
His average games are always very good, very high level of consistency.
Margin 40 points. That was Schneider taking off forward. Hayes, Montagna. High ball down towards half forward. Camped in front is Schneider, but the mark is taken by McVeigh. Well, Schneider, I told you, just took off running forward, was in the contest, but didn't count on that. Zaharakis, meantime, has taken the pass on the wing at the interchange gates. Hate to see players do that shrug, putting the arms up as though their teammates somehow are letting them down. Goes to Hurley, now the short one to Howlett. History tonight, 7 Essendon players have a surname beginning with the letter H. It's never happened before. Now at WrestleMania 6, Triple H, when he had that out-of-body experience, could manage only 6. Ball down towards the attacking 50. Here's Stanton, runs inside the 50, lines up, slides it across the face, and he found the needle in a haystack. He was behind a whole heap of defenders, and he's marked alongside the behind post. Well, that's amazing.
Yeah, right place, right time, that one. There's no doubt that Stant was going for goal.
No right to mark that ball. Jane Eagle has to think his way through this. And I'd venture to say tonight, Essendon are clear-headed. He's kicked 2.
Yeah, it was if he kicked the goal. I think he kicked it about 5 metres further from goal than he needed to. He got the end result, but you did ask yourself the question: was he actually setting up well for what was a really difficult shot? But like picking peas.
Sometimes when you're hot, and it goes all the way through. So no natural arc there for Jane Eagle. Just went back and nailed it.
Hardingham taking off, and then a good kick by Stanton.
Yep.
And Eagle's got a pretty good record against the Saints. Look, he doesn't get a lot of footy. One thing he does do, he actually kicks goals.
Yep.
Sort of averages almost 2 a match. He's got a long way to go in his footy yet. But another 2-goal haul tonight. Gilbert, haven't seen a lot of him dashing out of defence tonight. Revolt just paddling. He's tried his heart out tonight. The skipper Hayes has been very good. And then Ray hooks to a hot spot. Milne had a crack at it. Well done, Reamers. Very well done. To Watson down low. Stopped and proper. He kept his head, Watson. Reamers, Hawley. This has been symbolic of what they've done all night, isn't it? And now Stanton on the end of it. Stanton's kick to Neagle. Good hands. And a lovely kick.
Jack Dawson with me, Jack Dawson!
Come back.
He just never looks fit, does he? I mean, I'm not saying he's not, but if he could... Well, that's a poor kick. He does that, doesn't he? Now Goddard.
Montagna on the overlap. Kicks inside the forward 50. Revolt with 2 to beat. Hands to it. Finds it on the deck. He's just outside the 50. Here's that man again. Schneider. Open goal. Bounces it through.
Here's been a player tonight, Adam Schneider, who's shown a bit of energy. He's from a side that's been, I think, been really flat just about all over the ground. He has got on the bolt. He's tried to move around stoppages. He's finished with some goals. But, you know, a lot too late, really. But from a positive St Kilda point of view, he's actually showing a little bit of energy.
It looks a lot like he's trying to push upfield and see if he could get beat his defender back. Done that a couple of times.
It's been so competitive, Revolt, hasn't he?
Yeah, no, he's been a good competitor. Same. He'll always give a contest. He'll always give a good result.
So the Saints are getting the scoreboard ticking over. The one thing they haven't been able to do all night. And starting to win footy out of the centre. Hayes forward. Kazitsky couldn't, but Hurley been brilliant.
Yep.
And Dempsey's kick's a good one. Going to be fascinating to see how Essendon play this now. Now, there's a lot of time left in this match. It's a huge margin, but how defensive or offensive will they be? That was a good kick to Howlett, and then another one to Neagle. Now, let's hope he uses the ball a bit better this time. The last time he coughed it up and there was a turnover. This one out wide to McVeigh. Good side for him being a lefty.
One part of the game that's really underrated, Mark McVeigh's his ability to kick the ball inside 50. So hopefully, oh jeez.
Well, the way actually they kick the ball from half-back flank into the centre square, Bruce, I think we know how they're going to continue to play.
Yep.
They're going to take the punt. Play like the mini Geelong. Go from outside in. They often play that way and then continue on in this last quarter.
So they should. They've had the Midas touch tonight. Yeah. Lonergan only moved it about 5 metres. Now Graham. High ball outside the defensive 50. Fletcher hasn't put a foot wrong. He's going to get a free kick against Goddard. Fletcher with a couple to choose from, just pops it towards the 50. Howlett takes the mark. I'd venture to say too far out to score. They're trying to isolate Hardingham down there deep in attack. He's on Blake at the moment. Just sets it up. Hardingham doesn't get to the contest, but Hill in front juggles the mark. What a rout.
Sometimes you feel like we've said this over and over again. Ruckman aren't bad marking forwards, but they're terrible defenders against Ruckman.
Yep.
And McAvoy got there, but didn't have the sprawling technique.
So David Hill kicks his second goal. Ryder got the first couple from the Ruck duo, and now Hill is chiming in. It's all too much for the Saints.
Well, we heard Matty Knight talking in Matt's committee about is Hill ready to play, or do we give him another week's training? Well, they'd be very happy if he finishes the game unscathed, but the way he's played, the contribution, he's made not high possession, but he and Ryder as a combination of just in the ruck work, been able to get a couple of goals each. They've been a really good duo.
You'd have to think his hamstrings...
It's interesting watching again, McAvoy just can't quite get there, can he?
Yep. You'd have to think his hamstring injury just was so important to the Bombers when they couldn't win a game when he was out. Well played Hocking to Hill again, sweeping to Dempsey, to Hocking, twisting and turning, back into a bit of a hot spot. Hayes getting back to defend. And then on the up, good handball coming from Schneider, having a good last quarter as Revolt on the end of it. And then quickly on, interestingly, and then Goddard. So Goddard goes forward and then Graham pokes it home. So it's goal for goal. Scoreboard ticking over.
Interesting that, I'm not sure you read too much into it, Brendan Goddard not opting to kick the ball. He hasn't really had any real influence on the game tonight. We see him as a kicking player. When he's got the ball in his hands, he does some real damage. Statistically, he's only the 8 kicks out of 23 possessions, so 8 kicks, 15 hand passes, and out of all the players in the competition, he's the one that you want to have the ball in his hands, but chose to give it off to another kicker. Jason Graham, I guess the end result's still a goal.
So the margin is back to 40, and their goals have been pretty easy, just getting men free across half forward, the Saints. Still, it seems far too much. Gardner and Hill. Good bounce. Hill wins it down. So is it Watson who's getting the free? Yes.
Thanks. Thank you, Lee.
Del Santo hanging on. So Watson out of the middle. And now 50. Well, if they get this goal, for all their efforts in Kilda have made no ground. The margin was 46 at three-quarter time. It's currently 40. This will make it 46 again.
On the sides. No, on the sides.
Interesting.
5
Last
metres,
week, Matthew Knights had a bit to say, talking about some snipers outside the club, finding out who their friends were. That was after a win over North Melbourne by 3 points. Another struggling team, aside outside the 8. He may name names tonight, I reckon. No one is safe.
Are you safe, Dennis?
I'm on their side. The Beast actually barracks for Essendon. Strong Essendon man. I would not cross the Beast. There goes the kick. Watson puts it through. Terrific.
Well, they're obviously 40 points is probably too big a margin anyway. But when we saw the 50-metre penalty that gave Monfries a certain goal in the third quarter, and just that little bit of the bad manning, I think that was Stevens coming from behind the corridor to take the position. It bad 2 really unnecessary 50 metres to finally finish it off.
See, they've got the wood on the Saints. They've beaten them 3 straight. It's only the 3rd time this year St Kilda's had 100 points kicked against it. And it's the 4th consecutive week that the Bombers have actually scored 100 points. And Joe Watson, while we're ball come out. Joe Watson, 10 goals this year without a behind.
It's interesting you talk about the 100 points. I've been doing a bit of work with Josh Kay, the statistician. We reckon the magic number to beat the Saints is about 93. So Essendon look like they'll get the chocolates here tonight.
So they were safe about 3 minutes ago.
Yep.
So Gwilt back to Graham and to Blake and back to Gwilt. Good kick. And Dempster inside to Gilbert. So missing Dempster. Back he goes. Back to Gilbert. So at last some run and a bit of flair coming from the Saints to centre half forward. Fletcher front spot. Haven't seen much of Milne tonight. On hands and knees in the end. And then Geary's little handball. Fletcher in hard. Monfries, Watson, Zaharakis. Hooley's handball beautifully weighted. Collier tucks it under his arm. Cheekily there out wide to Dempsey. Back he goes inboard. Stanton, a revelation in the back half. Well, he's missed Neagle there. That was a pretty awkward ball for him. And then Neagle, like a big truck, holds his position and probably should have got a free kick.
Peake's got the football. No one said it had to be glamorous. Short one comes from Peake. Del Santo across the ground. Goddard slips a hand pass to Gilbert. Now Dawson. Long kick. Not a particularly good one. Whoa! McAvoy crashed hard. He was the meat in the sandwich there, but got up quickly. Applied pressure on McVeigh. McVeigh ditto. And the Saints half a chance there, but Lynch couldn't get free. Good effort by McAvoy. The ball actually involuntarily struck him. Gets in front of Hooker. Gardner comes over the pair of them. Goddard back to goal. Feeds it out. Taken by Ray. Snaps, and that's a very good effort. Darren Ray puts it through.
So at 60 points, 9 goals from how many inside 50 entries? The inside 50s are 40-40.
Yeah.
So in terms of actually getting into your scoring areas, it's even Stevens. Clearly, Essendon's ability to kick, 25 scoring shots from their 40. That's a massive number against what is really a very difficult thing to do against St Kilda's defensive system.
So, Lee, the inside 50s are all square, are they?
Yeah, 40 apiece.
And going into the game, he thought that if one side had a vulnerable back six, it would have been the Essendon Footy Club. Hasn't panned out that way at all.
Tell you one thing, though, I'm glad from Essendon's point of view that they've kicked goals in this last quarter.
Yep.
Because the Saints have quickly got up to 9 goals from their three-quarter time total. The Bombers were sitting on 12 at three-quarter time, and there's still a lot of footy left in terms of time on the clock. Look away handball was good by Fisher, and then Goddard again not wanting to kick. And Graham, well, they've broken the duck here. They've kicked a couple in a row. Well, we saw them stats run off the Bulldogs. Surely not, no.
Well, 34 points with 11 minutes to go. That's what Matthew Knight would be thinking.
He couldn't help but think that. But Jason Graham's been interesting tonight. He's had up to the 31 possessions. He's had 20 kicks, 11 hand passes. A couple of times really just sprayed the ball coming out of defence, deep in defence, but running through the midfield is probably where he does his real damage, not necessarily the clearing kick out of the back half and finishing off with a goal there.
I think just at the moment what's happened the last few minutes with St Kilda starting to score, Essendon really have to try and get hold of the footy and just try and hold it for a few minutes, just stabilise the game.
I think it was you that said, Lee, as long as there are enough minutes to equal goals, you're a chance. Bristol goes down. Well, they need 6, and they've got 11 and a half. Ball comes back from Gardner to Montagna. Someone has thrown the switch for St Kilda inside the forward 50. Hooker takes the mark.
I would have thought he should have just gone back and had his kick. That's the kind of thing. Now just try and maintain possession.
Yeah, you're right. Stanton drives it out. That was a good mark by Monfries. He needed to take it, and he did. He's got strong hands for a little man. He's in the Bartel-Hazelby mould. Small man who can take a high mark. Blake had a half play on that ball. Hardingham socket off the ground. Hayes, Blake, Gilbert, back to Hayes. Now Montagna pushing through half back towards half forward. This has been a problem area for the Bombers in this term. Kazetsky. So many goals have come like this. Just running from outside the 50. Although this one is deeper. Schneider goes back like a base runner going to second. That came off an Essendon boot. And then it's St Kilda boot. Pete got a boot to it. And it hit the post.
It's where you've got to think your way in the situation. They're going to say, all Essendon have to do now, if they can, is to slow the play down. Don't give the St Kilda a chance to get the fast break goals.
Worked underneath the ball rider. Well, they had a close call last week, the Bombers, and they didn't make good decisions in that match. Late in the match, they got away with it, but...
So in the ground in the back.
That was the miss. Pete coming in and hitting the post. So free kick to Gilbert. He's been busy in the last quarter.
Moving on.
So Gilbert to full forward. Revolt sets himself. And then down low, Hocking. That was clever.
Yeah.
Did brilliantly to Stanton. Now Stanton with a running bounce over the top. Howlett. Mature age. First-year player on the rookie list. He's done very well. Free. Goes back inside to Neagle. Neagle's handball not good. Gumbleton It was a hospital one. Howlett had good vision. Is that high on Hardingham? No. Saints get all over the top of him. Ball coming out. Well played by Dempster to Ray. Important footy, that one. And then Geary. Now Pete can run and carry and revolt. Well done, Fletcher. Revolt back inside. Geary, brilliantly done. And then Montagna. Bombers with the numbers. Hurley. Well, safe hands there.
Right up. Hooley's been good back there. Everything he's done has been crisp. Puts the ball to Davey. Takes it back. Continues to be crisp. Look at that. Goes to Monfries. He's in right half forward. Zaharakis on the move. He'll get it next. Within scoring range.
It was a great build-up by the Bombers. They did back themselves to play on at all costs. But what they did, they played on and they had free options to go to. So it wasn't as if it was a total blind turn and go. They knew they had players up the field, and ends up with Zaharakis, another one of those Monfries mould type medium forwards the Bombers have got.
It'll take a good kick. Never on line. Increases the lead. 101 plays 67. Under 8.5 minutes now. So the margin is 34 points. Not close enough, but it was Ross Lyon. Sport is very much the business of hope.
So got up with a slip, and then Dempster to Milne. Revolt slipped away from Fletcher. Back to Montagna. Again, they've got an open forward line with runners everywhere. Milne will load up. Well, Stanton, well done. And then Revolt took them all on. McVeigh, clever. Hawking through the centre. Did the right thing. Davey normally scoots off here. Back to Hawking. Back to Watson. And then Watson again. Good vision. That was to Monfries.
That was the composure from Watson, wasn't it? And what he had to do, just make sure if he could get it into the hands of Essendon forward. Easy option, best option.
We started the night talking about the stadium. We've seen a couple. What's your overview of Etihad tonight versus last week?
I think it's been better. There's still that patch right where Brendan Goddard did slip over, where a few players have done. Nick Revolt did it earlier in the game. So that corridor down the locket end is still a little vulnerable.
But we wouldn't have noticed it if last week hadn't been an issue.
I think you're probably right.
It looks okay tonight.
He's had a really good match, Monfries, as a defending forward as much as a goal-kicking forward. And he's kicked 4. That's a terrific return. It's a big night for him and for his club.
He really set the tone at the start of the game. Monfries, there was a clear direction from the Essendon coaching staff to do a roll on Sam Fisher, and he attracted the ball, he hunted the ball, he got a couple of free kicks for in the back. And what he does is he draws the footy, most importantly, which is, I guess, at the end of the day, your job as a forward.
Well, he won the contest, didn't he? He wanted that early contest. He wanted to get on to Fisher, which he did. Fisher wanted to get on to Gumbleton. Essendon won it. Won that contest.
So the margin back to 40, 46 at three-quarter time, so nothing much has changed despite a flurry of goals both ways. Angus Monfries, 20 goals for the season. One down by Hill. Watson back to Hill. So often seen in that role, getting that first hand pass out. Watson and also Hill. Here's a chance for Davey. Missed the target. Picked up by Dempster. Kicks it towards the outer side wing, and Peake tracks it towards the line. Dempsey bearing down. Peake under pressure. Kicks towards half forward. Schneider trying to manufacture some space there. McAvoy picks it up. Gardner, very quiet tonight, lumbers after the football, bounces across to Milne, rarely sighted Milne, not so this man, Schneider, tried very hard. Montagna needed it to arrive just a little quicker. The man coming at him just made that kick more difficult. Still should have kicked it, but at the same time, the ball took an eternity to get to him.
Well, Lee's theory's just about gone, Dennis. 6 minutes, 6 goals.
He was a bit reluctant to acknowledge that theory too, wasn't he?
Definitely was my theory.
That's all right.
More goals in minutes.
Now it is. Now you jump on.
You must have been a nervous coach, Lee.
Well, no, except in the 1983 grand final when there was 30 minutes to go and we were 13 goals in front. I was happy to accept we were going to win that one. Tennis.
Here's the next 4 for the Bombers. So Carlton and Collingwood both on Friday nights. Massive games now, aren't they? Particularly Carlton next week. And then they've got Brisbane, the match after that. mathematically, well, they could get to 11 wins, which I think Lee thinks might be the magic number.
Yeah.
Long bomb from Peake, and, well, they just keep on getting the scoreboard ticking over in this last quarter. Peake gets his first.
Yes, the thing is they have to win every game from now on, you would have thought, and they've got a very tough 4 weeks to come. Two of the top 4. They've beaten one of the top 4 tonight, but they're going to have to beat another couple of the top 4 to be there in September.
And the Saints have got a relatively easy run home. We might even have a look at that later, but gee, they've got to pick up the pieces a bit, don't they?
Yeah. No, this has been a real down performance. They had a down performance against Collingwood, even though they were inaccurate. They kicked 6-16. They were very inaccurate that day. And last week Joe Watson looking very sore now in that calf.
I thought tonight was going to be a real opportunity for St Kilda to make a massive statement a la the Western Bulldogs against Fremantle last week. You would have picked them to have a pretty solid win tonight, but certainly hasn't panned out that way.
Gardner knocks it down. Upended was Howlett. Gardner was second chance. Howlett comes back in. Did well. Davey, searing kick inside the forward 50. Ryder was coming up on the lead. It ricochets to Remus. Flips it over the top. Neagle in strife. Goes to Prismal. Prismal spots Collier. Collier, if he can burn them off, he runs to the pocket. Centering kick. He pulls it back. Intended down there for Hardingham. He found it eventually. It rolled to him. And the umpire calls for it. So Hardingham has been a bit of a revelation on their forward line.
Just watch it here, I reckon. When Job went into the game with a bit of a cork calf, he might have got another knock on it there. He's been absolutely fantastic from the outset.
I tell you, it has been fantastic that we don't know much of. Ben Howlett, 27 possessions. He's had 9 contested, just 7 tackles. He's been really solid
in this game, isn't it?
Now 50 against McVeigh. Just reading the book on Kyle Hardingham, 7th man taken in the pre-season draft from East Fremantle. He was coached there by Shane Woden. He turns 22 in September. So I was going to say earlier he should be able to plan his party, his birthday party, with supreme confidence. But tonight, well, I don't know. You know, put it on hold. Here's Kazetsky.
Short to Revolt.
He's also taken 1 pick after Michael Barlow in that pre-season draft.
That was a good pick by the Dockers, wasn't it? Yep. And Revolt leans back and goes for goal. And was it touched? It was right on the line.
And you'd have to say a good pick too by the Bombers. I mean, he looks a player, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
He's had a few shots at goal tonight, Revolt. A couple of goals. He's good match last week. Another very solid match tonight. I mean, the team hasn't got the result they want. 37,165 here tonight.
Probably a few Bombers fans who wish they'd come along.
You'd think the next 2 weeks, if they can hold this sort of form, there'll be massive crowds for Carlton and Collingwood on the Friday nights. Going to get your top 4 in a minute, Tom.
Yep.
Not sure we're going to see a Saint in there.
No.
I was just hoping you'd stretch it a bit.
There's Tom's answer, I'm not sure, or you won't.
Oh, no.
Collier's kick wide, now Montagna. Then Montagna down the line, Goddard.
Could you put a Saint in your top 4, Bruce?
No, I'm just trying to tease you a bit. Graham, who's kicked a couple of goals in the last quarter. So he could go the distance here. Gave it a terrible hook to the pocket. Fletcher didn't quite. McVeigh. And then Fletcher turning it over to Del Santo. Now, if we'd had those short quarters, it'll all be over by now. Here's Fletcher coming in hard and belting it out. Go on, Tom, give us your top 4.
Okay, the top 4. Dustin Fletcher very timely. He slots in at the number 3 position. I've been really impressed with the Bombers. Michael Hurley, we spoke about him, whether he's a backman or a forward. He looks like a backman. Wrapped with Montfrey's job, I think, from the coach's point of view. He's kicked the 4 goals as well. And Jobe Watson injured early in the game, and to plough on the way he has, a true captain's game with 29 possessions.
Close to the boundary line, Essendon looking to work it upfield off the boot of Stanton, out of bounds on the foot. Fair to say that the Bombers coach, Matthew Knights, polarises the Essendon fans on occasions. And tonight clarifies nothing. Davies, out of defence, McVeigh. High ball to the wing, taken by Stanton. One of their best performances of the year. Essendon just taking his time. Gilbert, this one's all over. And the result, if anything, will flatter the Saints. Hayes, a lot of the ball tonight. In fact, a few of their big-time possession winners have been to the fore again tonight. Hayes 32, Montagna 35, Goddard 30. But really, they haven't impacted the game as they normally do. McAvoy out of defence. Revolt, he's tried hard, but again, numbers did him in. Hooker, Dempsey. Dempsey in two minds, make that three. Comes back to Ryder. Dempsey. Hocking. Well done. Saw a man creeping up behind Hooker, so he went deeper. Hurley, Prismal, and Hocking.
One thing about the Bombers, they can beat a good team.
Yep.
It's the second time they've beaten the Saints this year. They've beaten the Bulldogs this year. They've beaten a couple of the other teams in the top 8.
Well, Bruce, that only makes the supporters mad.
Well, I was going to
Exactly.
ask, as a coach, what would you read into that, Lee? If you're a young side, you can challenge the top teams, but don't beat the...
I don't think they play fantastic percentage footy.
Right.
They play fantastic footy to watch. And if it works and their touch is in and they move the ball quickly and they can maintain possession, well, they've proved that they're hard to beat for everybody.
Yep.
I reckon they were a bit the same last year. They beat some good teams last year as
It's a bit
well.
like Geelong. I mean, Geelong play low percentage footy. They just play it so well. They kick the ball into the centre square, you know, hard. And that's what Essendon have done tonight, but it's worked for them, particularly early in the game.
And the other thing with the Bombers, every time they get on a plane, they lose.
Yeah.
And they lose by a big margin, and that doesn't help them. Here's Dal Santo.
Kicks it down towards half forward. Doesn't go with the name, does it? They should be good flyers. Dempster, the short one back to the middle. Lonergan. Oh, great courage, Lonergan. Knew they were coming up behind, didn't know who. That's gutsy, especially at this stage of the game with the scoreboard as it is. Hurley. Untidy, but we're inside the last minute. He's played well.
Yep.
Best game I've seen him play. Played some terrific games last year as a forward.
Yep.
You know, it's a bit of a cameo role, but this is the most solid game I've seen him play for 4 quarters. Centre half back, really good.
Number 18. Special at the other end of the ground.
I was going to say it's more Paul Vanderhaar than Matthew Lloyd at this stage, I reckon.
Yeah. It's been a storied jumper, hasn't it? A bit like Fletcher, number 31. I think Huey Mitchell had it for over 200 games. Not many players have worn 31 at the Bombers. Quickly onto the boot. McVeigh sends it to the outer side. 37 seconds remaining, and Montfrey's so good tonight. 4 goals, knocks it away from Gilbert. Don't know who'd win that, but I know who won tonight.
And what about those other top teams, Lee, that are planning for the Saints now in the next, going into September? They'll be thinking, well, there's a few holes there that we didn't know about.
Well, as I say, I think they'll just make sure that you actually make their defenders defend one-on-one.
Gee, Davey with so much courage there against all the flow, and then Lynch on the up. Stanton, it's been a good move putting him in the pack, hasn't it? He's been terrific again tonight. He had a very good second half last week, running it forward to Neagle. There's Davey. Hopefully he's okay. Did his knee, of course, a couple of years ago. And what a win this has been for the Bombers. One of the big upsets of the year so far. And so appropriately, Monfries might have the final say.
Well, I just thought it's amazing when you have a battle of wills at the start of the game. And that battle of the wills for Monfries and Gilbert, Monfries won the battle of wills. It's amazing when you do that, how it almost reflects in your whole team's will that you've won that mini contest.
Well, it set the tone for the game, set the tone for the Bombers, set the tone for Monfries, and also for Fisher.
No Bomber has kicked 5 goals in a match this year. In fact, they're the only club that has not had a player kick 5 goals this season. Monfries sits on 4. This to equal his career high. Oh, there you go. But everything else tonight's been beautiful.